Morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Yeah. In today's lecture, we are going to start another interfacing devices, which will be helpful to assemble the complete computer system, right? So, up till now, what we have done is we have done the basics of the processor. We have learned the basic language elements for 8085 as well as 8086. And for 8086 case, we have seen how to interface RAM and ROM chips, right? So ROM chips, whether they are EEPROM, RAM chips like whether they are SRAM or DRAM, we have learned how to interface those chips to 8086. But a computer system is essentially made up of all the other things. Like you need to have a keyboard, you need to have a display unit. So these all things also need to be connected. So in that line only, we are going to start the interfacing of devices and the first device that we are going to take is 8255 programmable peripheral interface. So 8255 is just the number of that IC, and PPI means programmable peripheral interface. So programmable peripheral interface. Peripheral interface means simply an interface which will allow you to connect different things to your computer. It's just like a USB hub, right? You all know what a USB hub is. So it is just like a USB hub, right? You have to connect a USB hub to your system, because even in modern day systems you can see that your computers have got much more capability than the computers that you used to had in those days. But still the data bus or the address bus of your computers does not hang outside the box of the CPU or outside the physical body of your laptop, right? The data bus or the address bus for that matters, it does not hang just like that. And although you have got a capability of connecting n number of input output devices and n number of memory devices to your data bus, you seldom do that, right? Why? Because there are only few peripheral devices which will be making your computer operational. So from your data bus, there have to be some compatibility matching devices, and one such device is programmable peripheral interface. It is just like a USB hub. So that's what we are going to see today. What is the structure of this programmable peripheral interface? How does it operate? And the good thing is it is programmable. So it can be manipulated by the 8086 computer. That is why it is used to connect various devices like keyboard to your computer, display to your computer, and that's what we will see after studying this. So let's see how a programmable peripheral interface looks like. So on this slide, you can see that there are various things. First of all, there is this IC diagram of a programmable peripheral interface. And you do not need to remember this complete IC diagram. All you need to do is you should be able to understand this programmable peripheral interface, right? So this programmable peripheral interface, it has three ports. For example, you can imagine a USB hub which has got three ports, right? So this 8255 programmable peripheral interface, which can be interfaced to either 8086 or 8085, has three ports: port A, port B, and port C, as you can see here. This is port A, port B, and port C. And there is a control register which will be controlling the operation of these three ports, right? So this 8285 has an internal control register which can be manipulated by the 8085 or 8086 CPU, according to which this port A, port B, and port C will be selected, and operations can be done. Port A, port B, and port C can also be made as input or output port that will be decided by the control word register, contents of the control word register. And port A and port B, they are of 8 bits each. Port A and port B are of 8 bits each. And port C is also of 8 bits, but it is port B. That means there are two things. One is port and another is group. So if you say port A and port B, they are these individual ports. But if you mention group A and group B, then group A will contain port A and the upper part of port C, and group B will contain port B and the lower part of port C, right? So that way you can say that either you have two groups of 12 bits each, or you have three ports of 8 bit each. And we will see how their operations are done in group, right? So this is the complete story of this 8255 programmable peripheral interface. So let us first have a look at its hardware. So you can see that there are various pins for various ports, right? So let us start from this port A only. This port A, it has got 8 bits. So you can see that there is this PA0, PA1 to PA2, PA3, and similarly up to this PA7. So from 0 to 7, there are these pins for port A. Similarly, if you see this port B, then PB0, PB1, PB2, and 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is your port B. So port A is to the upside, port B is to this side. Then this port C, you can see it starts from here, PC0, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's not in the order of its numbers. It is in this order. I mean, the lower part of this port is 0, 1, 2, 3, which is separated here, and higher part is 4, 5, 6, 7, which is separated here. So this complete thing is port C. Apart from that, there is this data bus. Data bus is from D0 to D7. From D0 to D7, you have the data bus, and this data bus is usually connected to the data bus of 8085 or 8086. Now 8085 has a 8-bit data bus because it's a 8-bit microprocessor, so it will be connected to this directly. Okay, somebody's mic is on. Okay, so it will be connected to this thing directly. I mean, data bus D0 to D7. However, for 8086, we will be using the lower order data bus. The lower order data bus, it will be connected to this thing, right? So that is there. See, somebody's mic is on. I have to otherwise forcibly mute everyone, and you won't be able to say anything in the lecture. So please either keep your mic switched off, or I have to forcibly mute, and within lectures you can't discuss anything then. Right. So this is the structure of this IC. There are these two pins, A1 and A0. Now these A1 and A0 pins have got the functionality of selecting this port A, port B, or port C, right? Or control word register, depending upon whatever value is supplied to this. So if it is 00, port A will be selected. If it is 01, port B will be selected. For 10, port C will be selected. And for 11, this control register will be selected. This A1 to A0 can be connected to the address bus lines of your choice. I mean, whenever any IC or any device is connected to 8086 or 8085, we already see that some address decoding mechanism has to be there. So accordingly, there should be two address lines from the microprocessor, which should be connected to A0 and A1, and that way some ports will be selected, or this control word register will be selected, and whatever is to be written onto that ports, or read from that ports, is taken care of from this data bus. So data bus will be giving or taking some data from that port or control word register, whatever is selected, right? Then again you have this reset pin. This reset pin is connected to the reset of the microprocessor, and whenever the microprocessor is reset, this port will also be reset. And what do we mean by resetting this 8255? Every port that you see here will come in input mode by default, right? So a port can be programmed in either input mode or output mode, or both of the modes. But if it is so that you have reset the microprocessor, then 8255 will also be reset through this, and resetting the microprocessor will simply mean that this 8255's all ports will come in input mode. So that's what we mean by resetting this microprocessor, right? So on this table, you can see the summary is written here. Then P0, PA0 to PA7, which stands for port A lines. It is input output. I mean, it's a bidirectional port, but it is not that it will always remain bidirectional. You can choose it to be either input or output or bidirectional at a particular time, right? And for that, we have several modes inside 8255, which we will discuss soon. Similarly, port B and port C, they are also of 8 bits and they are also bidirectional in nature, but at given point of time, they can work either as input port or as output port or in bidirectional ports, right? So port A, port B, port C are there. Then there is this data bus, PD0 to PD7. Obviously, data bus can give or take data. So it is an input-output thing. I mean, it's a bidirectional thing, right? The reset, however, is an input port. So reset has to be input. Then read bar is input. Write is also input. A0 to A1, they are also input. Chip select is also input. And VCC and ground, it is also an input port. So plus 5-volt supply, which is used by your microprocessor, will also be used in this particular chip. So that is the case. You can also see that there is this write pin and read pin, etc. somewhere in this IC, right? So this is the read pin, this is the write pin, CS bar, reset, and all the other ports and buses, right? VCC is placed at this location, which is not the usual location, but VCC is also there. Somewhere you can notice ground also, right? So this is the structure of this pin. And now let us talk about its operation. So I guess this portion is clear to you that there are these 3 ports, and to control those ports, we have got control word register here, right? CWR for short or CR for short. So this is the control register. Is this structure clear to everyone for 8255 programmable peripheral interface? Yes or no?
Sir, which control register are you talking?
This control register is inside this 8255 IC. We are going to discuss the format of that in the next slide so that we will be able to control this port A, port B, and port C. So this is inside the this is inside this 8255, and by 8086 we will write some data into that, according to which the functioning of this IC will be decided. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So every interfacing device that we are going to use will have almost same structure. It will have one control word register, and it will have whatever it is made for. I mean, here we are having ports. In the some ICs that we are going to read, they will have timers and counters, right? So instead of these ports, they will have some timers and counters. And some other ICs that we are going to read, they will be serving different purposes. So every IC will have a control word register as well as the functionality of that IC. I mean, 8255 is for taking and giving the data. It's like a USB hub, and port A, port B, and port C will be used here, right? So almost same structure will be followed everywhere. And we do not need to remember this pin diagram, but we will need to remember the functional diagram, which is drawn here. So on the right hand side of the screen, you can see that this is the functional functional diagram of your IC, right? So here you can see that this group A is there, which is of 8 bits again, and PA0 to PA7 is written there. Then group B is also there. I mean, this group B is also there. So it has got PB0 to PB7. Port C is coupled in this group A. So you can see that group A upper 4 bits are there together with this port A group. So this complete thing is group A. Port A and upper portion of your port C is there. So this is your group A combinedly. Similarly, there is this group B, and then there is this group A control, group B control. So we will see what this control means, because it comes from the control logic. It comes from the control logic. And here you have read, write, A0, A1 signal, reset signal, and chip select signal. So A0, A1 will be selecting ports out of these 3 ports. And there is this data bus. So data bus buffer is there. So data will be read into that. So this is the functional diagram. We should keep this picture in mind, and we should be able to remember this, right? Because if you remember this, all of the things that we need to study will be known to you. It's not necessary to remember the actual pin numbers. Now, how do you connect your 8255 IC? This is your 8255 IC. You want to connect it to your
Sir,
microprocessor. Yes, tell me.
sir, I haven't got anything about group and port.
Okay, so see, in the previous diagram, I have told you that there are three ports: port A, port B, and port C, right? So port A, port B, and port C, they are individually of 8 bits each, right? But then, if you use the terminology of group, then group means two of the ports have to be grouped. Which ports are grouped? So port A and port B, they will have half of portion of port C. The upper portion of port C, it will be coupled with port A, that is 4 bits of port C will be coupled with port A, and 4 bits, the lower 4 bits of port C will be coupled with port B. And why this is done, we will later come to know that this port C's bits, they perform the job of handshaking. You must be aware of handshaking algorithm from your TCP IP course. Is it or is it not? Have you read this algorithm of acknowledging the messages that you receive? Yes or no?
Sir, currently going on in the semester.
Okay, so you have heard this term of handshaking, right?
No, sir, but acknowledgement and all these things heard.
Okay, see what happens is handshaking, this terminology comes from the fact that whenever you go to meet someone formally, then you shake your hands, right, with them. So that becomes a formal meeting. So that is how when you send messages from one place to another. For example, you are sending some message over some channel. Then that message, if it is received by the receiver, the receiver will give you simple acknowledgement that I have received your complete message. So the sender will know that the message transfer process is complete and now next message can be sent. Because in physical channels, what happens is you send messages bits by bits, right? In group of bits. So you will be sending say 100 bits first in 1 second. So once those 100 bits are sent in 1 second, the receiver will acknowledge that I have received all your 100 bits. Now you can send the next one. So that way the transmission becomes efficient. So that is why when port A and port B, they will be performing in input output mode. Port C will be assisting for this handshaking operation, right? It will do this thing of acknowledging and etc. so that the message transfer will become very efficient. And that's what we are going to see soon, right? So this port A, port B, and port C are there, or you can say group A and group B are there. So group A means port A and upper portion of port C, and group B means port B and lower portion of port C, right? So that will be that grouping is there just to make the transmission of message from sender to receiver very efficient, right? So that's why they are grouped. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So this is the functional diagram of 8255 programmable peripheral interface. And how do you connect it to your microprocessor? The procedure is very simple. These three ports do not need connection with microprocessor. They will be available as three USB hubs to the external devices. You can connect anything. In the coming lectures, we are going to see that we will be connecting a keyboard through this, right? A keyboard will be connected through this. Because even on your computers, you might have noticed that you have got either USB keyboards or you have got COM ports keyboards, right? In the older computers, if we used mouse or keyboard, it was not a USB mouse or USB keyboard. We used to have separate ports for mouse. Have you seen those ports in your computer for connecting keyboard and mouse?
Yes.
And those ports are not USB ports. They have some different structure and those pins need to be connected, right? These days we have got USB things, but earlier days those were popular. So these three ports will be serving that purpose, right? Those mouse and keyboard, etc., can be connected to these, and we will see how to connect them, right? And 8255, it needs two address lines. So this A1 and A0 from your microprocessor can be connected here through latch. Then data bus is there, D0 to D7, and you can notice that this data bus that we are using, from that only we are deriving this A0 and A1, this address lines, right? So we will see why the data bus is serving as giving some addresses here when we will connect the actual keyboard to this through an example. So for now, you can see that either your address lines have to be connected at A0 and A1 with certain decoding logic, or you may connect your data bus, which some of the bits of which can act as address bus. And we will see an example of this, a working example of this, so things will become more clear in the coming sessions, right? So data bus is connected. Then for chip select signal, you have some address lines and some decoding logic is there. So this is just a representation. It is not necessary that you have to connect a NAND gate always. So this is just a representation of address.
So we can't hear you.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sorry, my internet connection just went off, so no problems there. Okay, so what you were saying is, if we assume that this is a 8086 microprocessor, then in that case we can operate in minimum as well as maximum mode. So if we are operating in the minimum mode, then we have to use this decoder for connecting the for taking the input output read and input output write signal, because in minimum mode this read and write signals are directly available, but whether you are using memory write or memory read or input output read or write, that has to be decoded through a decoder and then supplied to the microprocessor. However, in the maximum mode of 8086, if this were 8086, then in the maximum mode, that input output read and input output write signals are directly available. So that thing we should also keep in mind, and reset is connected to the reset. So it is as simple as connecting this. So in modern days USBs, you do not have to make connections manually. You can just insert the USB port in the USB port of your computer, and accordingly the connections will be made internally, right? If you have broken a USB sometime, you would have noticed there are various electrical connections which are made in form of line, and those are connected to the system buses for transferring the data, right? So this is an olden day USB. So it is connected in this way. You have to manually make these connections and select some address decoding logic and connect to your computer, right? So now let us come to how the data will be transferred. Suppose we have got these 3 ports, and out of these 3 ports, we are only using this port number C. If we are using this port number C, then port number C has got a special property. Port number C, by port number C, you can operate either bit by bit. I mean, you can change whatever bit you want to change from port C, or you can work in parallel also, right? So let's discuss this port number C first, because this is a very special port. It will be a helping port to port A and port B, or if it functions independently, it can work as either an input output port in parallel mode, or it can work in serial mode also, right? So let us discuss this port number C first. And since C can perform various functions, that is why one of the modes in which C can be used is called as bit set reset mode, or BSR mode, right? So this bit set reset mode or BSR mode is there for port C alone. No other port can be used with uh, this bit set reset mode. So what do we mean by mode first? Mode means you see that there are various port A, port B, and port C, and they can operate either as input output ports or as input port alone or as output port alone. They can also operate in bidirectional way or unidirectional way, and they can be coupled with other things. So depending upon that, there are various modes of operations of this IC. So one such mode is bit set reset mode, which is applicable to port C only. And in that, you can just change any bit of the port number C that you want. So the format that you see on the screens is the format of control word register. This is the format of control word register for your port number C, right? Means the control word register is common to everything, but this specifically is for port number C. And how will you identify that? How will you identify that? You will just see the most significant bit of this control word register. So if it is 0, then you are using bit set reset mode, and if it is not 0, you are not using the bit set reset mode, right? So for 0, bit set reset mode will be there. So you can see that the notation that is written here is D0, D1, D2 till D7. So usually your data bus of the microprocessor, whether it is 8085 or 8086, is connected directly to this control word register, right? You can see in this diagram also, this D0 to D7 is there. And through this data bus only, you will be able to change the contents of this group A control and group B control. So this group A control and group B control, it is nothing, but there is a format of control word register through which this group A control and group B control will be derived, right? So that control word register can be changed by this data bus only, and microprocessor will write something into that control word register. So that is why the notation that you see here, it is from D0 to D7, right? So if the first bit is 0, that means the mode that we are using is bit set reset mode, and it is applicable to only port number C, right? And the 3 bits after that are don't care, so they do not have any meaning in this particular format. And after that, the 3 bits, this B1, B2, and B3, or in other words, D1, D2, and D3. So out of these 3 bits, you can make 8 combinations. So these 8 combinations, they will refer to bit number 0, 1, 2, and so on and so forth up till bit number 8. So whatever bit you want to change, you put its address there in binary, and whether you want to set it or reset it, accordingly you have to put a 1 or 0. Setting means 1 and resetting means 0. So if you want to set it, you put a 1 here, and if you want to reset it, you put a 0 here, right? So accordingly your format will be set. So suppose I tell you to set bit number 2 as 1. So what you will do, you will keep this as 0. These 3 are don't care, so let us assume that they are also 0. So for bit number 2, you will have 0, 1, 0 here, and you want to set here, so you will have a 1 here. So this is 0, 1, 0, and this is 1. So 1, 0, 1 will have an equivalent of 5. So the data that you need to put in this register will be 0, 5 in hexadecimal. So through your in and out instruction, you have to move a data of 0, 5 here, so that you will be able to set the bit number 2 of the port number C. Is it understood by everyone? Is this procedure understood, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
So this is as simple as that, right? There is this control word, and there is an interpretation of control word. All the data, all that needs to be done is you have to supply an appropriate content through that control word. So bit set reset mode is very useful for single bit data transfer, right? So if you have various devices which want to transfer single bit data, then in that case, you can connect them here, and you can set or reset those bits of the input output devices, right? So this is a very simple mode. After bit set reset mode, let us now discuss the elaborate version of the format. So here you can see that from D0, D1, D2 to D7, we have got this control word. And first of all, let us discuss this D7 bit. So we already know that if this D7 is 0, in that case, the mode will be bit set reset mode. And the interpretation of this bit number D0 to D6 will be 3 don't scare, then 3 addresses, and whether you want to set or reset them. But if this bit is not 0, if this bit is not 0, then there will be different interpretation of these bits, right? So this control word register is not fixed in terms of the interpretation. The interpretation of the rest of the bits, that is D0 to D6, will depend on whether this is 0 or 1. Whether this is 0 or 1 will decide what is the meaning of all the remaining bits. So here you can see that it's written that if you are if this D7 bit happens to be 0, then that is bit set reset mode, and it is applicable for port C, and it has no effect on IO mode. This IO mode is applicable to port A, port B, and port C when this is 1. So if this is 0, we are working in bit set reset mode. However, if this is 1, then we are working in input output mode. Now, input output mode is further divided into 3 modes: mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. Now, what are these modes? Let us discuss them one by one theoretically, and then we will see the control word register format for that. And after seeing the format, we will try to interface some devices through this. Although this is also an interfacing example where you have interfaced an 8255 to your 8086, but the purpose of 8255 is to enable you to use other input output devices with this computer. Because if you see your actual computer, the data bus and the address bus does not hang outside that, right? There are either ports through which you can connect your keyboard and mouse, or you use additional USB hubs to extend the capability, right? So if you have a 64-bit computer, you cannot connect 2 raised to the power of 64 devices to your computer. All you do is you can connect at max 10, 20 devices to your computer, and so on and so forth, right? So input output mode is divided into 3 parts. One is mode 0, another is mode 1, and third is mode number 2. So mode number 0 is called a simple input output. What do we mean by simple input output? You have a processor, it wants to transfer some data to your input output device, so it will be giving data to it without bothering about the speed or the capacity of the input output device that you have connected, right? So if your processor is very fast, it will be throwing the data. It will be throwing the data at your input output device through this particular IC8255, and some of the data will be discarded, because if your device is slow, some of the data will be discarded. And if your device is faster as compared to your processor, then it will expect the data from the processor at a good speed, but most of the times it will take the default data as 0000, because the processor is not sending the data at the desired speed. So mode 0 is a simple input output port, which a simple input output mode for ports A, B, and C, which do not take care of the fact whether the data that is sent or received is being acknowledged to the other device, right? If the processor is transferring the data, it will just transfer the data without bothering about whether the input output received has received it or not correctly. And if the input output device is transferring the data to the processor, it will also not bother about any acknowledgement, right? So this is a simple input output ports. And if you have a device which works with this at the same frequency at which the processor is working, then it is a useful mode, port A, and it is applicable for A, B, and C all, right? In mode number one, you have got a handshaking mechanism. Similarly, in mode number 2, you also have a handshaking mechanism. And what do we mean by a handshaking mechanism? Handshake is like when you do something, you acknowledge what you have done, right? If processor has transferred some data to the peripheral will acknowledge that yes, I have received your data and now I am free, so you can transfer other data. So that way, even if there is a difference in speed between the processor and the input output peripheral, because of this mechanism of handshaking, the data can be successfully transferred from the input side to the output side, right? So handshaking mechanism is there, and for ports A or B, port C bits are used for handshake. As I have told you earlier, that if handshaking comes into picture, then port A and port B will be used as either input or output port, but port C will be assisting both of these ports for for acknowledging the fact that the data has been transferred. So in mode 1, only two ports can be used, port A and port B, and port C will assist them, right? Similarly, if you talk about this mode number 2, which is bidirectional mode, right? Okay, one peculiarity of this mode number 1 is that port A or port B, when you connect the device, they are fixed as either input port or output port, right? You cannot change them meanwhile in the running program, right? So you might have seen those older ports for interfacing your keyboard or mouse to your computer. They are input ports only. You cannot take any output from them. So on that note, these ports are of similar kind, port A and port B in mode number 1. We have to fix whether you are going to use port A as an input port or as output port. Same goes for port number B also. So it's a unidirectional port. A and B will be functioning as unidirectional port, and in which direction they will be functioning, that is decided at the beginning of the operation, beginning of the interfacing procedure, right? So that is fixed once for all. However, in mode 2, the same thing will happen as it happens in mode number 1. Handshaking mechanism will be there, but the ports will be bidirectional. The ports will be bidirectional in nature, right? So in mode number 2, only port A can operate in mode number 2, right? While port B will remain free, so port B can operate in either mode 0 or mode 1, which is the previous mode. So port B will remain free. It can operate in either mode 0 or mode 1. So in mode 2, that means a full bidirectional mode, only port number A will be able to operate, and port C bits will be used for handshaking mechanism. So is the difference between these three modes clear to everyone? Mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So these are again simple modes to learn. Mode 0, it does not bother about the data transfer speed. Mode 1 and mode 2 bothers about that. But mode 1, in that you only have a single direction thing, either input or output port. Mode 2, it can have bidirectional ports. Mode 1, A and B ports can function as either input or output port, and port C will be assisting them. Mode 2, port A and port B will be functional, but bidirectional advantage is available to port A only. Port B can do anything it wants. It can go in mode 0 or mode 1 depending upon the need, and port C will be obviously assisting mode 1, I mean port A and port B, right? So this is the complete story. And now depending upon whether you are operating in mode 0, mode 1 or mode 2, the format and the interpretation of these bits D0 to D6 will change. So let us slowly start studying these modes, and let us see what is the format of control word register there. So this format that we have seen earlier, it was for the bit set and reset mode. Now let's come to this thing. IO modes of 8255 programmable peripheral interface. One good thing you should do is whenever you take the name of any IC, you attach something of this kind, something prefix or suffix of this kind, where you will also be able to see the meaning of that. So you do not say 8255 IC, you say 8255 PPI IC. So later you will remember that this is 8255 programmable peripheral interface, because we are going to read 10 to 12 such ICs which will be interfaced to our microprocessor to make it a complete microcomputer system, and everyone has a purpose. And because everyone has a purpose, we can abbreviate their names. And this abbreviation should be always used. So make it a habit, whenever you say 8255, PPI should automatically be set together with it. So 8255 PPI. Now, in this, we are going to see the input-output modes of 8255 PPI, the control word register format for that. So since this is the control word register for the IO mode, you can see that the MSB is 1. If the MSB is 1, the meaning of these bits will change. From D0 to D6, it will change. However, if this MSB was 0, we have already seen that the meaning of these bits is this: 3 don't scares, then there is an address of the bit that you want to change and whether you want to set or reset it. However, for mode 0, mode 1 and mode 2, this is the combined format. This is the combined control word register format, which is there. And now let us understand what is the meaning of individual bits, right? So if you see here, bit number D5 and D6, these are 2 bits, and by using 2 bits, you can make 4 combinations, right? So here you can see that if it is 0, 0, then this operates in mode 0. If it is 0, 1, it operates in mode 1. If it is 1, 0 or 1, 1, it will be operating in mode 2. So bit number D6 and D5 will decide the mode of operation, for IO modes. Because in BSR mode, this was doing care. This was not needed. However, if you work in IO mode, which will be clear by this most significant bit, so in this IO mode, you will be able to see which sub mode you are operating by seeing the contents of this D5 and D6. 0, 0 mode 0, 0, 1 mode 1, and 1, 1 or 1, 0 for mode number 2. So by seeing this, the sub mode will be clear to us, right? Then this port A is a special port, so that is why you have assigned this PA bit here. And this port A, whether it is working as an input port or an output port, whether it is working as an input port or output port, that is being decided by this PA bit, right? So port A, if it is input, then you have 1, and if it is output, you have got a 0 here, right? Similarly, you have got port C upper, and whether it is working in input or output mode, so that will be decided by this 1 or 0, right? So this port A and port C upper, it will be called as group A. So on the left hand side, whatever contents are written, they are written for this group A only, right? So which mode you are operating on, then there is this port A bit, whether it is input or output, and similarly port C bit, which is input or output. So this is group A. This is control for group A. So in the functional diagram, I have shown you this group A control and group B control. So what we mean by those is this complete thing, right? Group A control means just by seeing the contents of the first 5 bits, you will be able to see what group A is doing. Not first 5 bits only, because if this is 1, this is fixed, then the 4 bits will be used for this particular group A control, right? For group B, you have the remaining 3 bits. You can see that if the mode will be decided as mode 0 or mode 1, because you have already known that the port number B can operate only in mode 0 and mode 1. It can never go into mode number 2. So that is why by using a single bit for mode, you will be able to say that whether it is operating in mode 0 or mode 1. It has no capability to operate in mode number 2. That is why single bit is sufficient to decide the mode. Then group B, whether it will be working as input or output port, it will be decided by this PB. And in a similar fashion, you have the coupled 4 bits, lower 4 bits of the port number C to assist it. Whether it is working in the input or output format, it is decided by this PCL, that is lower 4 bits of port number C, whether all of them will be working as input or output. So is the format very clear to all of us? The format of control word register for 8255 programmable peripheral interface? Yes or no?
Sir, can you explain PCU and PCL again?
PCL and PCU.
Yes, sir.
So the thing is, we have decided in the beginning, we have discussed in the beginning that there are 2 kinds of things. One, you can refer to these ports as ports, or you can refer to them as groups, right? So if you call them as groups, then group A will mean port A and the upper portion of port C. And if you talk about group B, then it will mean port B and the lower 4 bits of port C. Is it or is it not?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that's what we are saying here, right? In this format, you have got this group A. Whatever is written here for it is written for group A, right? So group A means you have to have port A as well as upper portion of your port C. Similarly, for group B, you need to have port B as well as the lower portion of your port number C, which is written here, right? So that is how PA and PC upper is grouped and PB and PC lower is grouped, right? So this PA, it can be programmed as input or output port. Similarly, port C can also be programmed as input or output port. So that is decided by the combination of these 2 bits. and same is applicable to port B, that is group B also, right?
Yes.
Right. So where does this data come from? So you can see that D0 to D7, the data bus is again connected here. The data bus is again connected here. So from that data bus through the microprocessor, through the in or out instruction, not through the in instruction. So the out instruction, we will be sending some data to this, and that will set the control word register, right? How the operation will happen? Let's have a look at that again. So here you have got this data bus. This data bus is connected to this 8255, and you have already seen this table. You have already seen this table. From this table, you can see that if the address lines are 0001, 10, or 11, either ports can be selected or the control word register can be selected. So if the port is 11, if you have selected these addresses as 11, if you see this diagram, if the addresses that you take from the microprocessor to this 8255 is 11 here, then whatever is the content onto the data bus, it will be put directly into the control word register of 8255. And once the control word register has got some values, accordingly the ports and things will be selected or deselected. Is understood by everyone? How will it happen in hardware? How the change of this bits happen in the format? Is this clear to everyone? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is as simple as that, right? So we have understood 8255 completely. Now, for understanding further details of this 8255 PPI, let us now move to mode 0. Mode 0 only. So let's talk about this mode 0 of 8255 programmable peripheral interface. Let's see its timing diagram. So timing diagram will make the things more clear, because timing diagram, it contains all the information related to the hardware of this operating IC 8255, right? So one interesting point that you will note in this timing diagram, that there is no time in this timing diagram. So it defies the nomenclature timing diagram. So can someone explain to me why there is this time, no time in this timing diagram? Timing diagram essentially means, as we have drawn it for various microprocessors, there should be T states, and according to that, the signals of processor should change. The internal signals of the processor should change, because microprocessor is a very disciplined device. It has a clock input, and everything happens according to a clock. But in 8255 PPI, you see that there is no time in the timing diagrams. So these are just simply diagrams. Even calling them timing diagrams will be a misnomer. But in timing diagrams of 8255, there is no time. Can somebody explain that to me? For hint, I will just open this IC diagram. You can see this pin diagram. And then now tell me why this timing diagram is does not have time there. Can anyone explain why timing is absent? Can you notice any clock signal in this 8255 IC?
No, sir.
So if
No,
clock
sir.
signal is not there, that simply means that 8255 is not functioning according to its clock, right? 8255 does not have a clock input, and 8255, that is why 8255 will not function according to clock. It is not a synchronous device. It is not a synchronous device, right? So whatever signals will be given, suppose you have USB ports in your computer, right? Those USB ports are not always doing the job of data transfer. Whenever it is needed, you will be doing the job from them, right? Because sometimes you attach pen drive and then you transfer the data. Rest of the times you remove your pen drive and they are kept as it is. So they are not doing anything. So whenever needed, they have to perform. Whenever needed, they have to perform. And the performance will be such that according to the modes that we have studied, mode 0, mode 1, or mode 2, or BSR mode. So there are these 4 modes. ASR mode, mode 0, mode 1, and mode 2. So obviously, when these modes will be used, the sequence of operations will happen. The sequence of operation will happen, but for that you do not require a clock, right? Because suppose you have you plugged your USB into your system, right? Once you have transferred one file to your USB, that is transferred through the procedure. Now you have waited for 1 long hour, you have done some work on your computer, and then you transferred one file again. So that can happen. I mean, you can wait or you can stop for some time, and then later you can transfer the data while the USB is attached. So it's not necessary that if the device is attached, the data has to be transferred, right? So whenever required, the data will be transferred. But the only discipline that this 8255 IC will follow is if the data transfer is initiated, there is a sequence of operations. That is, this thing will happen prior to that thing. For an example, the first thing would be you have to select the control word register. So this A0 and A1 will be set appropriately, and then control word register will be selected. Then the microprocessor will write the control word register of 8255. So control word register will be written. Then accordingly, the bits will be interpreted. The ports will be selected in input and output modes, and the data will be transferred. So this is the sequence of operations that will happen. That this discipline will be followed. But when will it happen? It's not known. It depends on the need. And that is why in this timing diagram that you notice for this microprocessor, we do not have time. There is only sequence of operations which is there, but there is no time there, right? So this point I hope is understood by everyone, that why timing is absent from this diagram, and the sequence of operations will be retained. So we will discuss this sequence of operations on the next turn for all the three modes: mode 0, then mode 1, and mode 2. And after studying that, we will try to interface a keyboard device to it. So this week will be dedicated to 8255 programmable peripheral interface, right? So any doubts in today's lecture? Any doubts, anyone?
No, sir.
Okay. So after the completion of this topic of programmable peripheral interface, I will give you a one-page assignment for summarizing this 8255 programmable peripheral interface. Because in one semester, we usually give 3 assignments. And whenever I give assignments, one will be in your before minor examination, one will be before your mid examinations, and one will be before your final examinations. And I have a habit of giving only one-page assignment. Whatever you have to write, it has to be written on one side of one A4 page. So that way you will not be burdened with writing a lot of things. All you have to do is just make a very good summary of this 8255 PPI, so that whenever you see that summary, you will be able to revise everything. You don't have to see this 1 hour lecture again and again, right? So all the important points, etc., should be made in the form of a smart diagram, so that the meaning of that will be clear to whosoever reads it in the first go, right? So that's what you have to done at the end of this week. At the end of this week, I will give you one simple and short assignment to submit, right? So that will be there. And likewise, this 8255 IC, we have many more ICs which are to be discussed, and we will be seeing their practical examples also, so that you will have an idea how a computer system is completely assembled, right? So how many of you have actually assembled your computer? You have gone to the shop and purchased a CPU and assembled a computer. Anyone who has done that, please raise your hands if you have done that. Or you have bought the branded computers like laptops, etc. Okay, so Shyam Chandra has assembled their computer. Okay, so you went to the shop and you purchased the items according to your wish, right? You said that I need to have this much RAM and I need to have that much hard disk and this type of hard disk and so on and so forth. Yes, or no?
Yes.
Right. So nowadays, people mostly buy these branded computers, so they already come pre-assembled with their basic configuration. But in our days, when we were to buy computers, this branding, etc., was not important. We went to the actual computer shops. I used to live in Delhi in that time, and there is this market called as Nehru Place there. So you go there and they will give you a sheet that write your requirements, what you want, what amount of hard disk do you need, what type of RAM do you need, how many slots in your motherboard should be there for attaching those RAM, what type of SMPS do you need. So we had this full knowledge of what was there inside my box, and accordingly they will tell you the price and you can assemble your computer. So that process was similar to the process that we are doing here, but the process that we are doing here is more complicated because we are building a very old computer. So the modern version is you could assemble your computer yourself, but nowadays they give you everything pre-installed and pre-assembled. So if you somehow get a chance to open your CPU, don't open your CPU. You can just see some videos on YouTube where you will see the internal contents of your CPU. So there will be a motherboard, slot for RAM, and there will be these connections which will be there on that printed circuit board, which will connect your data bus, etc. will be visible. There is a complete data bus strap there, which is connected from various parts of your computer to the various other parts of computers. So you can see all that in some YouTube video, and that way you will be able to appreciate that whatever we are doing is relevant, right? So okay, we will discuss this modes and their timing diagrams on the next turn together with interfacing of a keyboard. And the keyboard that we are going to interface is also a very minimal kind of keyboard. It's not that complete Windows keyboard or Mac keyboard that you see. We will be having a simple 4x4 keyboard for this 8085 or 8086. I think I had already shown you the picture of the kit that we use in laboratories, and the keyboard that we use there is a 4x4 keyboard, because all we need is numbers from 0 to 9 and A to F, right? So 16 numbers are required together with some control keys. So 4x4 is sufficient for that, right? So that's what we are going to see on the next turn, right? Okay, and whenever you have some event like TNP event or something, you should always tell me beforehand so that I should know whenever you are coming or not coming to the classes, right? Okay, so I'm closing this session.
Thank you so